What a pleasure this is, I'll tell you. I'm Jack Brickhouse. This handsome fellow is Milo Hamilton. We're at Sec Taylor Stadium in Des Moines. I might add, one of the great sports cities in the entire Midwest. The history of this city is just absolutely spectacular. And I better say it that way because I'm surrounded by nothing but people from Iowa. Jack Schultz from the crew, Milo Hamilton from here, Arnie Harris, who went to school over here. I'm in serious trouble if I don't plug this place.
Well, and we've had a long history out here, the Cub organization. They were here many years ago. They've returned now with the Iowa Oaks, the AAA ball club. We're going to see a good Wichita club here, leading hitter in the league. We're going to see a couple people who've been in the big leagues and are trying to battle their way back, so we should have an interesting game. If the weather will cooperate, Jack, that poured here last night, rained out a doubleheader. They're going to play another game after we finish this one night. If that's not enough, Iowa's got a doubleheader here tomorrow night, so they're playing it fast and heavy in Des Moines.
And they play a lot of baseball here. They play a 136-game schedule. More about all that later on. We're going to have Roy Hartsfield and Rich Donnelly, the two managers, give the batting orders for their ball clubs before the ball game begins here in a little while. But we just want to say, welcome to baseball. Now, the last time we talked to you, the Cubs had just won 5 out of 6. The farm club of the Chicago Cubs here in the American Association. And, of course, coincidentally, not too long ago, Wichita was the Cub farm club, but the Cubs left Wichita. Wichita now has the deal with the Texas Rangers. There's your Wichita pitcher out there right now. That's Len Whitehouse, and with a name like Whitehouse, Milo, he can't be all bad.
Well, I tell you one thing. We're glad to be back working, but I think the players in both of these clubs are going to kind of get a kick out of it tonight. They were all coming up and saying, hey, you know, they're going to be watching us on TV back in our homes all over the United States as we go into 46 states with this game, so we hope that those families will get a kick out of seeing them.
Now, this is young Mark Parker, the Iowa pitcher. You might see him in a Cub uniform one of these days. The Iowa Oaks out there on the field are Mike Turgeon in left, Scott Thompson in center, Tom Grant is in right, Jesus Alfaro at third base, Scott Fletcher, remember him, he was up for a while this year at shortstop, Pat Tabler, one of the keys in the Russell deal with the Yankees, at second base, Joe Hicks at first, Mark Parker the pitcher, and the catcher is Butch Benton. Stan Jakowski is coaching at first, Jakowski rather, and Rich Donnelly coaching at third for Texas, or Wichita. We're going to be right no matter which one we call them because they are the Texas Rangers Farm Club. The plate umpires, John Flores, with Tom Leffert at first and Larry Young at third. 3 umpires in the ball game, and there we are, and there's the first pitch, and it's a base hit to center by designated hitter Dan Roan, or rather Wayne Tolson. And Milo, not hard to figure out why Rich put him in the designated hitter spot, is it, from that swing?
Well, Tolson hit it, and he hit it like a bullet. I'll tell you, this Wichita ball club, they're in third place coming into tonight, but they still think they've got a shot at Denver. And they had a lot of trouble with Denver recently, and in fact, in a 4-game series, gave up 61 runs, and they think that's the difference in being right up there with them or being behind them.
First baseman Jim Norris.
The batter, of course, now is the first baseman, Jim Norris, number 2 in the batting order. Pitcher does not bat, and I might add, Milo, this may sound a little bit strange to you. As many ball games as I've worked, this is the first time I've ever worked a ball game with a designated hitter.
Well, I did a few in spring training when I used to go to Florida to spring training, but of course the last couple of years we haven't done any spring training games, so it's been a while since I've done a game with a DH.
Boy, those DH guys are like the Hatfields and the McCoys. You either like them or you don't. They're kind of like olives. Boy, I'll tell you, you get managers talking about it who are for it, and they'll give you a 4-hour speech, and the fellow who's against it will give you a 4-hour speech. There goes the runner. There's the throw to second. He's safe. It's a stolen base for Tolson. No hit and run on the play unless there was a missed sign because he just plain took off, and the batter did not offer at the pitch. This guy is, of course, in that leadoff spot because he can steal a lot of bases. Milo, how many has he got?
27 out of 30, so they don't catch him very often either.
Jim Norris, the batter. Man on second, nobody out for Wichita. That's a strike. 0-2.
I'll tell you one thing, that ground crew did quite a job. They had some work to do when they got here. They saved this field last night for tonight's game because it really poured, and again today.
The small crowd tonight is totally understandable. Last time they played here night before last, they had over 4,000 people in this ballpark, which holds 5,000. So they had it 80% full. And of course, the rain, the constant rain yesterday and last night wiped out the doubleheader, and it's been raining all day today here in Des Moines. Ball one, strike two. Outside again. Ball two, strike two.
I remember when they built this ballpark after World War II and named it after Sec Taylor, who was one of the great sports writers. And it was a Des Moines Bruins then in the old A Western League, and they were a Cub farm then.
High foul, out of play to the left. Well, that shot we saw of the water a minute ago could just as well have been the Raccoon River, which goes by here and which goes into the Des Moines River. Boy, there's Roy Hartsfield. There's your Raccoon River.
Aren't you glad we had that cab driver last night who could give us all that geography?
This is Two Rivers Stadium. Foul ball again. Well, there you go. How about that?
Guy says, I'll see the ball game later.
Well, they're playing two tonight. 7-inning ball game.
Yeah, they play a pair of sevens, and they're going to have to do it all over again tomorrow night, another doubleheader. Oklahoma City will be in here.
Ball two, strike two. Ground ball back of first. Picked up by first baseman Joe Hicks. On the play, of course, Tolleson takes third. One way, man on third. That brings up the designated hitter, Mike Richard.
Number 9, designated hitter, Mike
Here's a fella hitting .355 right now.
Leading the league, that's all.
Yeah.
Their manager, Rich Donnelly, thinks he'll be with the big ball club next year. He's DH tonight, but his position is second base.
Ball one. There we are, a little more of the Raccoon River.
Those are catching anything over there? They must be.
Catfish? Milo?
Got a chance.
There, yeah.
Bluegills, probably.
Ball two, no strikes. I'll give you one guess what Milo ate for dinner last night, folks.
Pan-fried catfish.
Iowa catfish.
I don't know if it was Iowa or not, but
2-0. Fly ball, right field. And it's falling away from the right fielder out there, Tom Grant. Can't get to it. Looks like a two-base hit. It is. He's in there standing up, and the run is across. So Richard bats one in. Gets himself another base hit to pad that league-leading total he's got. That is his 14th double this year. Man on second. Wichita in front 1-0 here in the first inning. And Bobby Jones, the right fielder, is now up. Nothing much Mr. Grant could do about that one.
Number 14, right fielder Bobby Jones.
Well, you know, it may not be Major League Baseball, but it's only one cut below. And you're going to see, therefore, flashes of Major League talent and Major League caliber play. Perhaps a little more than maybe you might expect. If you don't follow baseball as closely as some folks do, there's a strike. Boy, it's fun to watch baseball, I'll tell you that, Milo. It's been too long. Strike one. Ground ball bouncing out to the shortstop. That's Scott Fletcher. And he thinks it's play at third. And Richard trying to move to third on that infield out is shot down. Jones is on base on a fielder's choice. So here's Scott Fletcher. Remember how Lou Boudreau spotted very, very quickly in his first performances at Wrigley Field, Milo, that this young fella, Scott Fletcher at shortstop, has a very aggressive approach to the game of baseball. He likes that very, very much. I remember Lou, who knows a little about shortstop, I would say, making a very big case out of that.
Well, he got a little assist from the base runner, too. That ball's hit sharply. He had no business coming over there.
I doubt very much if the coach brought him. I think he probably did that on his own. Terry Bogner, the left fielder, is up.
The 2 outs that the pitcher here, Parker, has gotten have been on his straight chains, both on the ground ball. So he's got that going for him, but he's been struggling with the breaking stuff.
That handle foul off to the left. Ball 1, strike 1.
Yeah,
By the way, I was mentioning Iowa people on our crew. I better mention Darrell Rawson, our cameraman.
Yeah, if you want the equipment to keep working, you better mention him.
Unless I want to be shot with 3 heads instead of 2 the next time he takes my picture. Strike. Ball 1, strike 2. One and 2. Very high, pop fly. And the shortstop falls down, and the ball goes in and out of Mike Turgeon's glove. Oh, boy. Oh. Of course, everybody running. But with it, Jones still makes it to third. Bogner pops up for what should be the 3rd out. You can see the slippery field causes Fletcher to fall down. Turgeon coming in, misplays it. That has to be an error.
It is. E7.
Number 21, catcher Don Werner.
Don Werner, you remember when he used to be that good-looking young catcher with the Cincinnati Reds behind Johnny Bench?
That's right. And a couple of nights ago in that 13-3 game, which Iowa won here, he still got a home run to capture some respectability in the late innings of the ball game for this club.
Don Zimmer wanted to keep him for the big club this spring, but they had roster problems.
Ball 1. Runners on 1st and 3rd.
Mark Parker from Huntington, Indiana, has got to tighten his belt a notch here. He can't let that error bother him. He's got to get out of this mess.
Cubs are a little lucky that another run didn't score on that last play. But I read that Iowa.
Ooh.
Wichita.
What a play. What a play by Tabler.
Good play by Tabler. The runner's tossed out. In the end, 1 run. Could have been worse. Couple of hits, 1 error, 2 left. We go now to the Iowa Oaks half of the 1st inning. 1-0 Wichita. The ball game is going now to the Iowa Oaks half of the 1st inning. If we call them the Cubs once in a while, I think you'll understand. Out there on the field now for Wichita. Terry Bogner in left. Nick Capra center. Bobby Jones in right. Wayne Tolleson at 3rd. Nelson Norman at shortstop. Roger Holt at 2nd. Jim Norris at 1st. Don Werner the catcher, and the pitcher there, Len Whitehouse.
Whitehouse coming in here tonight with 4-2, an ERA of 3.97. Worked almost 57 innings, given up 9 home run balls. Base on ball strikeout ratio could be a little better. 22 walks and 37 strikeouts. There is Fort Des Moines, brother. That's where it all started, right there for this city.
First inning. Designated hitter number 2, Dan Rome.
Arnie Harris did his thesis, I think, on Des Moines history when he was at Drake, and he's picking out all these interesting spots for us. The spots that he did a thesis on in Des Moines all had dim lights and neon signs in the window.
Well, Jim Duncan, who was the very revered and highly respected professor of communications at Drake, also points out that Arnie's one of the few guys he ever taught who wrote a thesis and spelled it T-E-S-I-S. Dan Roan, designated hitter in the leadoff spot. Ordinarily, you think of a designated hitter, of course, a little farther down in the batting order. And very often, of course, the critics of the designated hitter will tell you that He's simply, as Roy Hartsfield points out, a fellow can hit a ball. He can't run, or he can't throw, or he can't field much anymore. Usually he's an elderly fellow as baseball goes. So that makes him a 1/4 or 1/5 of a ball player. And Roy, now that's one side of it. And of course, they will also tell you that it'll take away considerable strategy in the game on the part of the manager. But the DH devotees will give you a lot different story on it. Anyway, the leadoff hitter Roan just coaxed a walk out of Lenny Whitehouse, and that'll bring up Scott Fletcher, the shortstop.
Roan would be playing ordinarily on this club, but since Tabler came in the Russell deal, and you got Scotty Fletcher back with this team, why, it puts him in a little different role.
246 hitter, but he got 22 stolen bases. Foul ball.
You talked about Lou liking Scotty Fletcher when he was up with the Cubs for a while. I think he's got a chance to stick with the club next year as a utility infielder. He can play short, he can play second. And he talks about himself being a #2 hitter, and you saw him on that first pitch to him trying to take it to right field. That's what you like to see him do.
Roy Hartsfield, who is managing this ball club now, the Iowa Oaks for the Chicago Cubs organization, coaching at third. And he also has a brother, Bob, who is a scout, who covers Florida, Georgia, Alabama.
And manages our rookie team.
And, yes, also does that. And he managed at Geneva. And, matter of fact, when you and I were in Atlanta with the ball club this year, we had a long visit with Bob Hartsfield, the scout. He touted us at that time on a picture I forget from Tampa. From Hillsborough High in Tampa. He said, boy, he said, this guy is going to be something. I hope we can land him.
And they did.
And they got him. He was the #2 choice, and they got him. A lefty. That's a ball. 1-0 ball game. Wichita out in front. We're in the Oaks half of the first inning. Ball 2, strike 1 the count.
A lot of the folks who are watching us down in the southeast, Jack, know Bob Hartsfield or Poochie. They know him better. He's also one of the outstanding basketball referees in the Southeast Conference.
There's a ground ball bouncing to the shortstop now. It's Norman. He'll have to go to first on this one. The hit and run was on that play, and consequently, the runner on first base, Roan, made it to second easily. Fletcher's out, man on second, tying run in scoring position. Scotty Thompson is up. Well, hello, Scotty. He caught a break. He was sent down here, and being sent to the minors turned out to be quite a financial bonanza for him. The reason?
He's getting paid.
That's right. He's getting paid his salary that he was, that the Cubs had agreed upon with him, which is probably a sizable one. But because he's not on strike, he gets paid. All right, question. How's Scotty doing right now?
Well, the last week he started to hit again. He had a little lull there for a while.
He's hitting .285 right now. Couple of homers, 16 runs batted in. Ball 1. Looks good, feels good. He's been talking to a couple of his teammates lately on the Cub roster, and
he's pessimistic about a settlement.
Pessimistic about the possibility of a settlement.
One of the things Scotty did since he came down, Jack, he had a 12-game hitting streak in one stretch.
It's a ball. Ball 2, no strikes.
That game where you talked about Friday night where this club got 13 hits and scored a lot of runs, Scotty had a couple of doubles and drove in a couple in that game.
Ground ball, back of first. Taken by first baseman Norris. Unassisted put out, and on the play, Roan takes third. That brings up Pat Tabler. Well, we'll be watching this fella. I have a hunch a couple of guys back in Chicago are watching. One could be named Herman Franks. The other could be named Joey Amalfitano.
Leading the club in hitting, 307.
He was a DH the other night because he was injured.
He's been hit a couple times in the same spot on an elbow, and those things kind of linger with you, but now he's playing tonight.
And his natural position, his best position, appears to be second base, although Hartsfield says he could play third. He's got the arm for it. And it looks like the range.
Tell you one thing, if he plays second base, he'll be the biggest one at that spot since Jerry Adair, won't he?
Yeah, what is he, 6'3", isn't he?
6'3", about 185. He's a moose.
Hitting .307 right now. Hi, folks. A little bit of the atmosphere of a spring training game, a resort area type fandom place like this tonight. Foul ball.
And the ballpark, the way it's situated and the way they built the press box here, it's very similar to Payne Park in Sarasota where the White Sox train.
Yes, it is. Here the press box is. This is where we're working. Hi. That's Joe Corneo. We've got a regular crew over here with us.
He wouldn't miss taking a trip with Arnie.
Ball one, strike one.
Need a hit here, Jack. Tie this thing up.
Ball two, strike one. Sec Taylor Stadium. Sec Taylor was the beloved and highly respected sports editor of the Des Moines Register-Tribune. We knew him real well. That's a little low. Matter of fact, one of his closest friends was a fellow we had a little phone conversation with this afternoon. Pinky George, the famous wrestling and boxing promoter over here.
Yeah, Pinky's name was synonymous with those cards all over Iowa in those years.
Well, that's how I got to know him, because I televised wrestling on Channel 9 in the early days. We got to be very good friends. 3-1. That's a strike. He's not on. Ball three, strike two now. Wichita won, the Oaks nothing. Well, Milo, you'll be happy to know they sell popcorn here.
Hey, we had some pretty good popcorn last night.
Milo is the Duncan Hines of popcorn. The Milo Hamilton 3-star badge on a bag of popcorn guarantees its success and its quality. There's a ball. He's on. That brings up Joe Hicks, the first baseman. Joe's a .252 hitter.
Number 7, first baseman, Joe Hicks.
Whitehouse worked very carefully to Tabler, Jack. He never gave him a pitch to hit all the time he was up there.
Runners on first and third. Little high. Ball one. Foul ball. Randy Hundley's here. Randy started out the season managing this ball club, then switched assignments, and is now kind of a roving scout for Herman and for Joey and for the organization, and he's been over here the last few days. That's Rich Donnelly from Wichita, 34-year-old former catcher.
46. 817.
Fly ball, right field. Moving over very fast, Jones. Can't get to it. This ball game is all tied up. All right. Joe Hicks dropped one out of reach in right field. Same kind of a base hit almost that Mike Richards hit in the top of the inning to send one in for the Wichita Aeros. Now men on first and third. Roan scoring. Tabler taking third on the play. Mike Turgeon is up. Now, it's 335 from the plate to the wall down both lines here, and 400 feet to straightaway center, and this guy will put one over the 400-foot wall the other night here. He's got 40 runs batted in. He's got a dozen home runs. That's about a 20-foot fence out there, so it took quite a poke Mike Turgeon. And I have a feeling you'd kind of like to make up for dropping that easy fly ball, too, a few minutes ago.
Here's a fellow 3 years ago, looked like maybe he was going to make the Chicago Cubs, but they just haven't been able to settle on a position for him. He's played third, first, the outfield.
There's a base hit. Slammed that one past the second baseman hole. Too hot to handle. Just couldn't get over there in time. And now the Iowa Oaks have the lead in the ball game. Tabler coming across on Turgeon's base hit. Another RBI then for Turgeon, giving him a total of 23 for the year. And it's a 2-1 ball game in favor of the Oaks. And out goes Mr. Donnelly. For Iowa, batting average 253. He's got 46 runs batted in, leads the ball club.
And hasn't been with the club all year, so since he came up here, he's done a job for him.
.511, 160. Curve strike. Ball one, strike one. Well, no matter where the ballpark is, it's fun to take your date to a ball game. One and one. Ball two, strike one. Ball three, strike one. Ball three, strike one. That's a ball. So Alfaro walks, and that loads him. Now you have Hicks on third, Turgeon on second, Alfaro on first.
Jack, you remember when I mentioned his stats to start the inning, I said his base-on-ball strikeout ratio left something to be desired, and he's showing you why in this inning. He's now walked three. And two of the fellows he's walked have already scored, and that's the difference they've gotten in front with those two.
Here comes the catcher, Butch Benton.
Old New York Met.
Yeah, 204 hitter right now. Been in 30 ball games. Pardon me, he's been in 49 ball games, 30 base hits, and 147 at bats. Outfield straight away, fairly deep, bases full. Curve strike, strike one. The Oaks 2, Wichita 1.
Don't too often see a fella start off a hitter with his change, but his change is his curveball. Throws a slow curve for his off-speed pitch.
High foul, out of play. 0-2. Low. Ball one, strike two. High outside. Ball two, strike two. Most of his off-the-mark pitches have been high. There's your bullpen. Two and two. Low, full count. Ball three, strike two.
Butch, you get a chance to unload here, pal.
Bases full, 3-2, 2 out. I wouldn't say they could put the game out of reach with one of those things here, but they could sure make it an uphill climb for Wichita. Well hit, deep to left. Back goes the left fielder, Bogner. And near the wall, he takes it for the out to retire the side. Well, which gave him a little thrill in the inning. Couple of runs, 2 hits, no errors, 3 left. And at the end of 1, the Iowa Oaks 2, Wichita Aeros 1. I'd like to remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the American Association, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the American Association is prohibited. Leading off now for the Wichita Aeros here in the second inning is center fielder Nick Capra. He'll be followed by second baseman Roger Holt and the shortstop Nelson Norman. 2-1 ball game. The Iowa Oaks out in front of Wichita Aeros. And incidentally, Aeros is not spelled A-R-R-O-W-S, as though it's, even though it may be pronounced that way or sound like it, it's A-E-R-O-S because it has to do, of course, with the famous Wichita aeronautical factories down there. Ground ball bouncing out to shortstop Scott Fletcher. Scotty throws. Good work. Capra's out, 1 away. That'll bring up second baseman Roger Holt.
Number 2, second baseman.
Well,
Roger
Donnelly
Holt.
said Capra could run. He was flying down that line.
Roger Holt, second baseman, is up now. Roger's a .245 hitter. He's been at bat exactly a couple of 100 times this year. That's a ball. Ball 1. Again, Turgeon in left, Thompson in center, Tom Grant in right for Iowa. Alfaro at third, Fletcher at short, Tabler at second, Hicks at first. Pitcher Mark Parker, the catcher, Butch Benton. So far, the weather's holding up for us. Outside.
Well, we saw it rain enough last night and all day today, up until about 2 o'clock. That lasted us forever, didn't we?
Well, if they want to help the corn with rain, they ought to have a record crop this year. Foul ball. And I guess we'll always have that debate as to which has the taller corn, Iowa or Illinois. And since I come from central Illinois, I better bow out of the conversation. Otherwise, I got to be in serious trouble.
And I come from southeast Iowa, so we'll let the folks watching decide who wins that, huh?
2-2. Let Orion Samuelson worry about it. He comes from a neutral state, Wisconsin.
I turn on the TV this morning, and what's the first thing I see? Orion syndicated farm show.
Ball 3, strike 2.
Felt like I hadn't left.
Ground ball bouncing out now to second baseman Tabler. 2 out. That will bring up the shortstop, Nelson Norman.
Here's a fellow who was a starting shortstop a couple of years with the Rangers. Finds
Number
himself
4,
now trying to
shortstop Nelson Norman.
have a kind of year that can get him back in the big time. Switch hitter, 266.
Fly ball, left field. Once again, it's Turgeon, routine. So it's a 1-2-3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. And this takes us now to the Iowa half of the second inning. Score: Iowa Oaks 2, Wichita Aeros 1. The Iowa half of number 2. The Oaks 2, Wichita 1. Well, Milo, we have an old friend of yours in mind here, Milo.
It's far down behind
And I'm going to ask you to, I'm going to ask Milo here if he will introduce this handsome young fella. Make him drop his pad and his pencil for a minute and walk away from that typewriter, will you?
Well, Mr. Raffensperger is a fellow who's been on the sports beat here for a long time. He's now the sports editor of the Des Moines Register, and he's a pretty good baseball fan. In fact, before the strike, he was up and spent, I think, a whole weekend watching the Cubs. So he's out here covering, and he gave us a real nice welcome when we got here, and I'm going to let you chat with him here a little bit because he can tell you how this franchise is doing and how baseball's doing with the strike going on.
The batter, by the way, is Tom Grant, and he swings on that first pitch. That's a base hit then for Iowa. That'll bring up the leadoff man and designated hitter, Don Roan. Man on base, Iowa ahead, 2-1. We're in the Oaks half of the second inning. Tom Grant on first base. Roan the batter. Nobody out. Gene, of course, is a fellow we've known for a long, long time, and I can think of nobody more appropriate than the sports editor of the Des Moines Register-Tribune. You've been on this scene for as many years as you have, Gene, to kind of give us a little picture of what things are like over in Iowa and Des Moines in particular these days, and how American Association baseball is accepted here.
Well, I think very well, Jack. This has been a strange year for baseball. With the strike on, I don't know that that the Oaks have benefited any from the attendance. Actually, if I looked at the figures here tonight, I think they're down about 5,000, 4,000, I guess, from a year ago. But they support baseball well here. You know, they have a poor record this year, but the Iowa fans support the team very well.
Some great names have come from this town into baseball, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, very definitely, yeah. The White Sox were in here for a number of years, and many of their pitchers up there right now went through here, and Bucky Dent was through here, of course. There are just any number of players that have been on this field wearing Oaks uniforms who are now in the majors.
Well, was Des Moines glad to get the Cubs from Wichita up to here?
I think they were, Jack. There are a lot of Cub fans here, and I think the reaction immediately was one of great anticipation. I'm not sure that it's been carried out that way. The club hasn't played very well until just recently.
Base hit. Roan drops one over the third baseman's head, and that's going to put men on first and second now for Iowa and bring up shortstop Scott Fletcher. Well, of course, Des Moines and the Cubs were tied together for so many years, so many years. John Howland, Salty Saltwell, who I know is watching right now. By the way, a couple of guys around here said, say, you got to go tell that Saltwell hello for us. One of them, a nice elderly gent here around the ballpark named Kelly, says, Salty was my first boss here.
I bet that's right.
And, of course, you had John Howland here, Bob Sheffing over here, if I recall, and this is going back to the 50s, I guess, and the 60s.
I wasn't covering baseball then, nor was I even in the sports department then, but many of the Cub, that was a Western League club in here, and
yes.
There were a lot of, right after the war, the Cubs had teams in here that were very strong.
As a matter of fact, I cut my teeth on 3I League ball in my hometown of Peoria. And we often thought that when you guys were in the Western League over here, that Peoria should be upgraded someday and be able to play in the same league as Des Moines.
Well, I cut mine on 3I League baseball in Waterloo, Jack, at the same time, back around World War II time when Waterloo was in the 3I, an old B League then.
Play is going to have to be the first. The sacrifice bunt, and it's going to be safe at first because the throw by the catcher on that play was too high. Don Werner pulled Norris off the bag, and so he gets a sacrifice. And chances are an error on the throw by the catcher. That's what it is. And the Iowa Oaks now have the bases full with nobody out and a chance to really make a lot of hay in this ball game where they're leading 2-1. The batter, Scotty Thompson. I don't know if Scotty's hit any Grand Slammers over here yet. He's only got 2 homers.
Has not. Scott's one of the reasons that the club is probably playing better now. He came down here and picked him up a little bit. And a young man is coming up behind him. Tabler's another one. Their hitting's better.
Infield pulled in, of course. And right now, Wichita has a big problem. Oaks 2, Wichita Aeros 1. Bases full of Iowa Oaks. Nobody out. Second inning. Strike. John Flores, plate umpire. Tom Leppard at first. Larry Young at third. Has Hartsfield gotten along beautifully with the umpires over here?
It's very quiet. Roy never says anything. Randy Hundley was had some problems with him, but Roy has just been very, very quiet.
Ball 2, strike 1.
Does this park look different to you, Jack, from broadcasting in a major league park?
Not as much different as you might think, especially from some of the major league ballparks that I worked in before the new stadia were built. 2-1. There's a hot shot. Oh, boy, right to the plate. They've got themselves and out at the plate there, and for just a minute I was wondering if maybe Norma might have caught that one on the fly. It's a trap and a play at the plate. Let's look at it again. So he goes to the plate for the fourth in, and the man on third, Grant. Base is still full, 1 out now. Good play, by the way, by Norman. That ball was hit hard. Base is full, and Tabler is up now.
Second inning, Aeros 1-2-1.
Foul ball. Scott Thompson on first, Fletcher on second, Roan is on third. Tabler, who walked and scored in the first inning, trying to get a base hit here that could bring in at least a pair. Oaks 2, Wichita 1. We're in the second inning. Whitehouse has been struggling from the very first batter. High foul, out of play. 0-2. Is baseball popular enough over here so that your readers on your sports section demand a lot of coverage?
Well, they certainly do. Of course, we don't have any Major League Baseball to report now, so we've taken to running what we can on the strike situation and other things. But we, during the normal course of the season, miss a box score, Major League box score. We hear about it. There's fans for every team out there. We know that. But Cub fans surprisingly strong here.
2-1. Fly ball, center field. Capra's there. He's got it. The runner on third will score. No play. The play is at third base. So the sacrifice fly then by Tabler gives the Iowokes another run now. And that will bring up first baseman Joe Hicks. Joe got a base hit in the first inning, the last time up. Score the ball game. Oaks 3, Wichita 1. We're in the Iowa second at Sec Taylor Stadium in Des Moines, Iowa. Sitting in with us briefly here, sports editor Raffensperger from the famous Des Moines Raffenspergers. There's a liner caught by third baseman Wayne Tolson, and that takes care of that. Well, it sure could have been worse for Wichita. Could have been a lot better for Iowa. In the inning, however, 1 run on 2 hits. There was an error. Couple left. And so at the end of 2 innings, score the ball game. The Oaks 3, Wichita 1. Game is going now to the Wichita half of number 3. The Iowa Oaks 3, Wichita 1. As far as I'm concerned, the pitcher should be walking into the batter's box now because the number 8 or the shortstop batting right in front of the pitcher in the batting order made the last out. But not the way it is in these ballparks. Although Milo, Roy was telling me, Roy Hartsfield, that Cincinnati was in this league with a ball club at Indianapolis, still will not use the designated hitter for their Indianapolis ball club. And they have an understanding that when Wichita or, we'll say, Iowa or somebody, you know, Oklahoma City, Denver, any of them, if they go over to play Indianapolis, at Indianapolis, they will not use the designated hitter over there. That's by a league agreement. However, when they come here, Of course, they use a designated hitter, but Cincinnati still will not have Indianapolis use the designated hitter. Their whole point being that, well, these guys are going to have to hit when they do come up, so let's let them get some practice hitting. Although Oklahoma City, which is a Philadelphia Philly farm, still uses the DH down there.
Well, they could do away with it everywhere, and it wouldn't disappoint me. Now that we've decided which side of the fence we're on. All right, as we go to the third, we had a little delay here because they put some more sand. With all the rain they had here, it took its toll here around the base paths a little bit, especially off to the side where the tarp left off. All right, Mark Parker's ready to go. Benton's throw down, and we're all set to go to the third inning. Wayne Tolleson, who started the ball game with a base hit, promptly stole a base and scored on a Mike Richard double. The only run that the visiting Aeros have in this game. It put them in front in the first inning, 1-0. The Oaks are leading 3-1. The Oaks about hit Wichita 4-2. Each team has been guilty of one miscue. Wayne Tolleson. He'll be followed by Norris and then Richard. Right-hander Mark Parker from Huntington, Indiana. He's got a 3-1 lead right now as he works here in the third inning. Breaking pitches inside with something off of it, and it's ball one. They have a doubleheader here tonight. We'll be doing the first of two. Then the Oaks tomorrow night. They don't get any rest. They come right back for a doubleheader tomorrow night. That's a ball. This is the last visit by the Wichita club, so they really would have been disappointed if they hadn't been able to play here tonight. It would have washed them out of 3 games of a 4-game series. Well, there's an Iowa Oaks fan. Fouled up to the left side. 2 balls and 1 strike. Howdy, partner. He's got his Iowa Hawkeye jacket on, and Mom's taking a look around. 2 balls and a strike. And remember, on Channel 9, the news at 9. Butch Benton with a sign for Parker. Try to butt his way on. Benton will have to pick up that target and fire, and he did. Good play by Butch Benton. Butch came right out of there and take another look at it, because this was a pretty good bunt. Comes out there and dives. The pitcher started off. Benton, you yell him off. Turn. He's got to pick up that first baseman in a hurry. And a good play. And look at it again. Tolleson trying to butt his way on. Benton right there. Picks it up. And gets him. So it's 1 away. So that keeps a potential base stealer off the bases. Remember, he stole one the first time up. This is Norris. High foul down the left side. Looks like it'll bend out of play, and it does. Strike 1 to Norris. Mike Richard, the league's leading hitter, who doubled in their only run in the first inning, is on deck off to the right side. Feels good to be doing baseball again. I hope it's an omen for the week to come. Players are going to meet tomorrow in Chicago. One ball and 1 strike. Let's hope they come out of that with something optimistic enough that will make the federal mediator call everybody together, because the calendar is running out. Line drive single into right center field. Norris is on with a base hit. That is hit number 3 for the visiting Wichita Aeros, and it'll bring up Mike Richard. Had a double in the first, then was thrown out at third base when the shortstop threw him out. Had to play right in front of him.
Number 9, designated hitter Mike Richard.
He's their designated hitter tonight. His natural spot is second base. Rangers feel they may have some trouble signing Bump Wills, so it could open a gate for Mike Richard. Runner at first, 1 down, third inning. 1 ball and no strikes. Parker, as he works here in the third inning, fastball, slider, and a straight change. Just the 3 pitches. That's enough if you can get them where you want them. Bouncer, second baseman. Oh, came up on him, and there'll be no play anywhere. It's going to be an error as you look at it again. Now, the pitcher kind of let that ball go because Tabler right by the bag, if he makes the play, see it's right to him, then you know it's a double play. Came up on him a little peculiar, but he's still got to make the play on that ball because it's hit right on him. He was over there in time. So that is an error on Tabler. It puts runners at first and second. So they've given him a big opening here instead of having the side retired. That's the second Iowa error of the evening. The other belonged to the left fielder, Turgeon. So 2 on, 1 out. Bobby Jones, left-hand batting right fielder, safe on a fielder's choice the last time up. Missed with his fastball, and it's 1-0. So 2 on and 1 down.
Kevin Craig to the office, please. Kevin Craig to the office, please.
So Parker's in a jam. It's early in the game, and Early's working in the bullpen. You saw him working down there. There's a high fly ball, deep center. Thompson to the fence, and this ball is gone. See what the error did to you? Instead of being out of the inning, it gave Jones to get a swing, and it's a 3-run homer over the center field fence, just a little toward right center field. So this show you how you can turn a game around. Bobby Jones just did it after the error. 3-run homer. Thompson goes back. He'll go right to the fence, hoping maybe it'll come down for him. See him reflex there as though it might come back off the top, but it went over, and it's a 3-run homer, and it's a 4-3 Wichita game. They've taken the lead for the second time in this game as runs 2, 3, and 4 score on the 3-run homer by Bobby Jones. Here is Terry Bogener. Reached on an error on Turgeon in the first inning, and the strike. For Jones, that's his 13th homer and gives him the club lead, and also gives him 52 runs batted in for the year. There's a fly ball going to drop in right center field. Thompson going to have to chase it almost to the track. He won't be able to get it in time to keep it from being a 2-base hit. So I think maybe the error and then the home run has shaken Parker up a little bit here. Thompson gets over, and he'll keep it from going on out of the track, but still a 2-base hit. And it's hit number 5, 3 of them in the inning, and Butch Benton is going out to talk to Parker. Don Werner waiting to step in. Werner in the first inning, just to show you how the ball will bounce a little differently sometime. He had a smash that the pitcher deflected, and Tabler made a great reaction back to his left and threw him out. But in this inning, Tabler made a boot that really hurt. Kicked a double play ball off the bat of Mike Reichert. And now here you go with a runner at second. 1 down, 3 runs in. Turning, but no throw.
Batting is number 21, catcher
Don Werner facing Mark Parker. Rich Donnelly, the manager of the Wichita club from over in Steubenville, Ohio, says his folks would be watching tonight on the cable. Bouncer, third. Looks the runner back. Whoa, he just threw the ball halfway downtown. It'll put Werner at second base. And the run will score because Bogener was already over at third. Now here's a play. Should have been routine. It gave him a nice hop, but it took off. And the first baseman, Hicks, couldn't have bought it. He'd have had a broom on the end of his glove.
Now batting number 1, center fielder Nick Capra.
Good thing the stands were there. That one's in the Raccoon River. Now it's a 5-3 game. And it's the second error of the inning and the third of the game on the Iowa Oaks. And here is Nick Capra. Bounced to short in the second. A runner at second. Four-run inning. And a 5-3 Wichita lead. Yeah, same here as it is in the big leagues, Jack. Kick a double play ball, you usually pay a price for it. High fly ball, right field. Grant over and in. Long way to come, and he made the play. 2 away in the inning. Tom Grant had to make a pretty good run to get that ball, and he did. So with 2 away, it'll bring up the second baseman, Roger Holt. Holt in the second inning bounced to second.
Number 2, second baseman Roger Holt.
Runner at second and 2 down. Werner is the runner. He reached in a throwing error by the third baseman, Alfaro. Errors have definitely hurt the Iowa cause here in the inning. The breaking ball down and in. 1 ball and no strikes. Wichita's total board now 5-5-1. The Oaks 3-4-3. After going in front, they've fallen behind by 2. Parker's had a rocky inning. 3-run homer by Jones was the big blow. Runner at second gave evidence a little bit that he was going. In fact, Alfaro came over in case Benton got a throw down there, but I don't think Werner was really thinking about doing any running in that spot. 2 balls and no strikes. Holt runs pretty well, and shortstop shallowed up a couple of steps. The 2-0, ball 3. Nelson Norman, the shortstop, would be next. Wichita batting in the third, and they've had a 4-run inning. Walked him on 4 pitches. His first walk he's given up.
Number 4, shortstop Nelson Norman.
Number 28 is Mike Mendoza, throwing in the Iowa bullpen. They've changed. Earlier, the left-hander early was there. So here's Norman, fly to left in the second inning. 2 on, 2 out, 4-run inning. Wichita's re-grabbed the lead. They're in front 5-3. Smash to second. Tabler picks it clean, throws him out. Side is retired. Let's hope the horse isn't out of the barn. They pick up 4 runs on 1, 2, 3 hits. 2 errors, 1 very costly on the double play ball, and they leave a pair. There was also a base hit and drove in a run in the first inning. We'll be leading it off in the third. And Len Whitehouse, who was cuffed around pretty good in the first 2 innings, now has a new lease on life because as he works in the third, he's back in front in a 5-3 game. Turgeon, Alfaro, and Benton due up in the Iowa third. High pop, right center. It'll hang up a long time. Who'll call for it? Right fielder makes the play. That's Bobby Jones, who hit the 3-run homer in the top of the inning. Jesus Alfaro got a base on balls in the opening inning. Stepping in now with nobody on in front of him and 1 down. Roy Hartsfield, the manager, coaching at third. Gary Krug, you remember he was up for a little while with the parent club at Wrigley Field earlier this year. It was just used as a pinch hitter. He's coaching at first tonight, and that is a strike. Employs that off-speed curveball for his change, and as we pointed out earlier, he opens up on a lot of hitters with it. Benton will be next. 1 ball and 1 strike. Temptation to say when our next telecast would be, and I sure wish I knew. That's a strike, 1 and 2. I tell you, if I was able to tell you when our next telecast was going to be, I might have a scoop. Two balls and 2 strikes. Jack Jacobson handed me our basketball schedule the other day for the Bulls in DePaul, and as anxious I am to see those teams again, I hope that's not the next game we do. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jammed him and fouled it right at the catcher's feet, holding 2 and 2. Capper playing a straightaway center. Left fielder playing straight away, and the right fielder cheating a little toward right center. 2 and 2 with nobody on, 1 down. Alfaro waiting. And he hummed one. Alfaro strikes out. That's the first one recorded in this game by the left-hander Whitehouse, and it'll bring up Butch Benton,
Number 9.
Who, if he'd gotten under the ball just a tad, would have had a grand slam home run in the first inning. Boy, he hit it hard with the bases loaded, and it put the left fielder's shoulders right against the left field fence. And that's the left fielder, Terry Bogener, and he's playing him pretty deep again. He's pretty close to the warning track. Yeah, he went. They asked for help. First base umpire said yes, he did. So it's a swinging strike, and once again, he opened up with that slow curve.
He's got a good changeup, hasn't he?
His off-speed curve is his off-speed pitch. It's the only one he's got, but he's been effective with it here. 2 strikes on Butch Benton. Grant would be next. Nobody on at the moment for the homestanding Iowa Oaks. Brian Rosinski, the Evanston young man. He says, doggone it, why couldn't they have pitched the left-hander in the second game? Then I would have been on TV at home. He will play in the second game, but since they're throwing a lefty, he's not playing here. That would be a disappointment, wouldn't it? Knowing that they're going to be on TV and the home folks could have seen him. Well, they might see him as a pinch hitter yet.
I was just going to say, you know, White House has been in trouble a couple of times. If he is finally moved out of there, another pitcher comes in, you'll be able to see him.
No balls, 2 strikes. Oh, he popped some leather with that one, and he struck him out. So White House has a new lease on life. Struggled for 2 innings. But, boy, he threw as well or better in that inning than he has all night. So we played through 3. Wichita, 5 runs on 5 hits. Iowa, 3 runs on 4 hits. Oh, a little stroll tonight, huh? And bringing the bumper chute just in case. Oh, she's coming to the ball game. Boy, Arnie, it didn't take him long to find out where things are going on around this park. Get shots from everywhere.
Honey, you're 8 runs behind, but there's still plenty of time for a lot of action.
Number 6, third baseman Wayne Tollison.
Here's Wayne Tollison. In the 3rd inning, he tried to bunt his way on, and Benton made a fine play on him. He's 1 for 2, started the game with a base hit. Parker working for Iowa. Fly ball, left field. Turgeon moving to his right. Turgeon makes the play, and it's 1 down in the Wichita 4th.
Now, you and I have an invitation, Milo.
Well, it's not that I wouldn't love to come back to the city soon, but I'm hoping that we're going to be too busy to make it. You want to tell them about it? This is Norris, 1 for 2. Fly ball, left center. Turgeon back. Turgeon has a play, and Turgeon will put it away, and it's 2 down.
Organization called the Cubs. But this Cubs organization stands for Committee of Unabashed Bruin Supporters. They're going to have a Fan Liberation Day parade on Saturday, August the 1st over here to promote enthusiasm and optimism for the future of Chicago Cub and Iowa Oak baseball, bless them. In other words, they point out that after a 36-year hibernation, Cub fans are ready. So the parade over here will originate at Nolan Plaza in downtown Des Moines at 6 o'clock. The revelers will march to Two Rivers Stadium, that's what they call it down here, Sec Taylor Stadium, to watch the Mighty Oaks, as they point out, humble the Springfield Redbirds. Now, that's the Cardinal farm system.
Yeah, there's some people watching there tonight,
yeah,
too.
There's an added incentive to beat these guys, because it's the Cubs and the Cardinals all over again. Anyway, they want the public to welcome back kids for a great, great go of it in Des Moines baseball over here in the Iowa Oaks. Well, we appreciate that invitation, and I guess everybody's allowed to take part and invited. That's going to be on Saturday, the 1st of August.
A strike to Mike Richard. It's R-I-C-H-A-R-D-T. I think it was Reichert or Richard, but it's no T, they say. Richard, just like it was no T at all, and that is a ball really backed him off. So 2 away, 2 fly balls to the left fielder Turgeon, taking care of Tollison and Norris. Mike Richard had an RBI double in the 1st. In the 3rd, he had a double play ball, and Tavler kicked it, and that opened the floodgate. Bouncer third. Had to pick it, and good play by Jesus Alfaro. So 3 up and 3 down. Parker got himself back together. Middle of the 4th, and it's still Wichita Aeros 5, Iowa Oaks 3. Second inning. Only time he's been up. And Len Whitehouse is going to take another warm-up toss or two here. He's in front 5-3. 1 homer in the game. Jones had 1 for Wichita.
Sitting on the Oaks half of the 4th inning, number 11, right fielder Tom Grant.
Grant will lead it off and up to the top with Dan Roan and Scott Fletcher. Oaks have been out-hit 5-4, outscored 5-3. A leaky defense hurt the Oaks in that 3rd inning when Wichita picked up 4. Oaks fell behind 1-0, eventually led 3-1, now trail 5-3. Strike 1 count to Tom Grant. He was having a heck of a year at Midland, the Double-A club. They brought him up here, and he's dropped off about 100 points, which might lead you to believe that maybe Triple-A is a little higher than he ought to be at this stage in his career. 1 ball and 1 strike. But this is the way you find out. A ball and a strike. Whitehouse has struck out a couple, walked 3. There's a high pop down the left side. Left fielder, third baseman, shortstop, and nobody can get it. It's down past the bullpen. That'll have to be a no play because he slid right into the bullpen bench down there. He really came a long way. We're going to show you how far. Now watch him have trouble over here because it's going to be treacherous over there. I hope he didn't wreck a knee right there. He hit it. I think he's up and walking around all right, though.
He's all right.
Just going to have to get a uniform cleaned, that's all. Terry Bogener made a good effort on that ball. They've got Bogener in left, Capra's in center, Jones in right, battery of Whitehouse and Werner, and infield first around the 3rd of Norris, Holt, Norman, and Tolleson. Jack and I came out last night anxious to see some baseball. They were scheduled to play a doubleheader. Had a cloudburst here about 5 o'clock. Pounded boy right back, a comebacker to the pitcher, and it is 1 away. Ball hit hard, but good reaction on it by Whitehouse.
Well, even that, you know, has its advantages. It gave us a chance to sit around leisurely while we're waiting to see what was going to happen weather-wise, and talk to fellows like Bob Martin, the general manager over here, and some of his staff, and the people in the organization, and this gives me a chance, Milo, to express the gratitude of all of our crew for the remarkable cooperation we've gotten over here. It's just, well, it's good old typical Midwestern friendliness.
Yeah, they welcomed us last night and had all kinds of things ready for you and I that no other way we could get them, and we really appreciate all that help.
Tom Butts of Bob Martin's staff, too, goes for special thanks because he's worked above and beyond the call of duty with our crew here since they got here. Probably kept half of them out of jail last night.
What happened to the other half?
they escaped.
0-2. Roan has walked, singled, scored 2 of our 3 runs. Wichita in front 5-3 over the Iowa Oaks. Triple-A farm clubs of the Texas Rangers and the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, though, to pull up here to Sec Taylor Stadium today, you and I, and looking at this, I see familiar faces. Jack Schultz, our engineer in charge, and our shader, Johnny Bryster, and Roy Cohn on the audio, and cameras like Darrell Rawson. And
hit him on the fist and popped him up, and whoa, look out. Third baseman and the shortstop almost had a little mix-up there. The shortstop, Norman, finally made the play.
Don Slabowski in a sitting position as usual, working on the cameras. Al Jones and Howie Spreckman, our other cameraman. Bob Ogburn from Des Moines, working our videotape down the truck tonight. Of course, Nancy Burns, our character generator, and Mary Ellen Hornage, our switcher. All these people making the trip over here with our really great big unit. That's got to be quite a job to drive a unit like that many miles.
Well, Arnie can handle it. High pop foul. Looks like it'll be out of play over to the right, and it is off the bat of Scotty Fletcher.
Bob Hicks from the city of Des Moines, too, has been very helpful to us over here.
I still haven't seen that banner, though. They told us last night there was a big banner going to be here tonight. Welcome, Arnie Harris Fan Club.
Well, they held a meeting this morning in a phone booth, and the banner didn't arrive.
1 ball and 1 strike. And Arnie says there they are, those vacant seats.
The Arnie Harris Fan Club.
2-1. It's great to be loved and remembered.
Arnie's remembered by his creditors over here. It's okay for him to come back. The statute of limitations has run out on some of his tabs while he was in school here.
2 balls and a strike to Scott Fletcher. Bounced to short in the first, reached on a sacrifice and an error on the catcher in the second inning. Scott Thompson due up next. Nobody on, 2 away. Smash. That's going to go through the hole. A base hit for Fletcher. Fletcher gets his first hit of the night, and that is hit number 5 in the game for the Iowa Oaks. It evens the hit column at 5 apiece. All right, Scotty Thompson, you got a chance to tie it up here.
Center fielder Scott Thompson.
Scott Thompson, first inning, bounced to first. Second inning, fielder's choice. 0 for 2. Facing left-hander Len Whitehouse. 3-run homer by Jones. Highlight of a 4-run inning for Wichita to put them back in front, and they're leading at the moment 5-3. Moves him back to the bag. Saw Gary Krug, coach, in the picture there. Base runner is Scott Fletcher. Fletcher with the lead. And fouled off. He ran that ball up and in on him, and it's strike 1 to Scott Thompson. Pat Tabler would be next. Tabler drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the second inning. Had walked earlier and scored another one, so could be important here to get Thompson into the hitter's column here tonight for the first time and get Tabler up there. Even him in the hit column at 5, but Wichita still leading 5-3. Runner edging a little, not going. Foul back up over it. 2 strikes to Scott Thompson. Jim Norris, the first baseman. Scott Fletcher, the runner. Krug, the coach. Scott Thompson represents the tying run as he bats in the 4th. Wichita in front by 2 in a 5-3 game. Fletcher with a little bigger lead. Not going. Slow curve, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ready with a 1-2, runner going. Hit him on the fist, popped him foul, out of play off to the left side. Whitehouse ran that ball up and in on Scott Thompson again. Scott Fletcher, good base runner. Leads the club in stolen bases with 22, and he was running that time. 1-2, 2 out. Fletcher back to first, up to Scotty Thompson to see if we can get something out of the inning. Wichita leading 5-3. Friday night's game, the Oaks pounded him. Yeah, he moved him back. I'd have been very surprised if he hadn't gone over there that time, because he was back to that big lead again, Jack. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 away. Checks the runner. Fouled back here. Catcher coming back. Won't have a play. It's right up to the edge of the top of the screen. Down Warner came back, but it wouldn't come down inside for him, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Watch him now. And he's got to stay right back there with it. He tried to climb the screen here, and the fans gave him a little hoo-ha about it, but you got to do it, because if it comes right downside in there, he might have been up there where he could have made the play.
I'm trying to remember who it was the catcher that made a play like that in a big ball game. I think it was Johnny Bench.
Yeah, it was. I remember him doing it because they
series.
replayed that a dozen times.
Yeah.
Right at Riverfront Stadium it was.
Yeah.
2-2. And you remember where it was, too. It was right over there in that spot at Riverfront, right at the edge of the screen before you get into those box seats and that little low railing, and he went right up in there and got it. 2-2, 2 down. Fletcher edging a little, not going. Ball. All right, he's falling behind him now. Remember, he had him in a hole, 0-2. Pitching a little more carefully the last couple of pitches on him, and it's 3-2. Scotty Fletcher will be ready to go here, and Scotty Thompson will be hoping to do something about this score with Wichita leading 5-3. With Jack Brickhouse, this is Milo Hamilton from Des Moines. Sec Taylor bringing you triple A ball here tonight. Fouled off. Runner will come back. Baseball is where you find it these days, and we found it in Des Moines, Iowa on a Sunday night. Oh, we've talked about crucial and pivotal in the days regarding the strike. Those words have been worn out. It's almost down to do it or don't do it. High foul coming back again. Werner back and looking, but it's back about 8 rows this time. Scott Thompson, a couple of years ago, 1979, for 3/4 of the season, was making a bona fide run to be the Rookie of the Year if he hadn't tailed off from about the middle of August on. Then last year just couldn't seem to get going. This year had trouble, and he said that was one of the things that got him off to a slow start when he came down here, because trying to get back in a groove of playing every day. Well, he's played every day here. In fact, he told us before the game, since he's been back, they've only had one open date, so playing time he is getting. A high foul. It looked like it'll hang up long enough over by the dugout. There, no, it slices back over there. I think what the third baseman told us over there, he thought that ball was going to come down for him. I did too.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned Scotty tailing off a little when he was going to be Rookie of the Year. Yet I am just so tickled to see this kid in uniform. How can we forget the way that head hit that ground with that helmet off?
Collision with Tim Foley at Pittsburgh.
Battle with Tim Foley at Pittsburgh. Not a battle, it was a collision.
Boy, was it. He got drilled.
The fact that this kid was able to play any more baseball after that is, to me, a blessing.
All right, 3-2. Fletcher ready to go, and there he goes. And there's a pop out into shallow center. That ball will be caught by the shortstop. I'll tell you something, Nelson Norman made a big league play right there. He went out and made an excellent play, because it looked like the center fielder was in trouble, but Norman went out just like picking peaches, and he made the play a very fine play. No runs and 1 hit, no errors, and a man left. We've played through 4 at Sec Taylor Stadium in Des Moines. And the scoreboard shows it. Wichita 5, Iowa 3. One with Whitehouse and a home run by Jones. The Oaks with 3, 5, and 3, and Parker. Wichita led 1-0. Iowa went in front 3-1, but a 4-run third put Wichita back in front 5-3, and that's where we stand as we go to the 5th. And here's the fellow who had the big blow in that inning, Bobby Jones, to lead it off with you, Jack.
Yeah, Bobby hit a 3-run blast, and that gave him his club leadership. It was his 13th of the year. Now he's stepping in. He'll be followed by Bogener and then Werner. The ball game moving to the 5th inning. You know, another fellow who probably is watching this ball game with some interest tonight. After all, they had the arrangement over here for a long time, and some great ball players who later wound up as World Series heroes came from here. That's Charlie Finley, because Bob Martin and Ray Johnson over here, who operate this franchise, had for quite a while a working agreement over here with Charlie in the Oakland A's, and guys like Tennis, Rudy, some of those others came through here. Ooh, a beautiful curveball, man alive. Did Mr. Parker take the He really pulled the string on that one, didn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't want to let this guy hit another one.
Inside. Looked like his slider. Ball 1, strike 2. Mike Turgeon in left. Scott Thompson in center. Tom Grant is in right field. Alfaro at third. Fletcher at shortstop. Tabler at second. Hicks at first. Parker and Benton the battery. There's a foul ball out play to the left. The game is at Sec Taylor Stadium in Des Moines, Iowa. We'd like to point out that these people over here like their baseball. They know their baseball. They are sophisticated baseball people, the fans. And they recognize talent, and they recognize the lack of it. Ball 1, strike 2. They also know that the purpose of a team like this, as far as the parent ball club is concerned, is to develop young players into major league stars so everybody can share in the fun of developing a major league champion. 1 and 2. Ball 2, strike 2, no strike. Third base umpire down there is Larry Young. 2 and 2. Larry comes from Oregon, Illinois, out near Rockford. 2 and 2. Curveball low. Ball 3, strike 2. There's your scoreboard. Right now, with the big club idol, Les Moss of the Cubs coaching staff is over here working with Hartsfield and these kids. There's a high foul out play to the left. He's down there in the bullpen right now. And if we have a post-game show, Les will be our guest. 3 and 2. There he is on the right. High outside. So Bobby Jones draws a walk. Rogers, or rather Parker, a little bit on the nervous side about pitching in the groove to him in the wake of that home run he hit up from the last time up. Now here's Bogner. Terry got a double the last time up. And also, as Milo described it, did a beautiful job of trying for that foul ball, sliding into the bench and risking some injury. Look how he chokes that bat. Pretty husky guy, and you wouldn't think a husky guy like that would be choking the bat that much, but instead might be taking that long slugger's grip on it. High pop-up. Should be routine, and it is. So Bogner's out of there. And that'll bring up Werner, the catcher.
Number 21, catcher Don Werner.
Here's Werner. Safe on a throwing error the last time up. There's a base hit to right. So Werner slashes that one right between Tabler and Hicks. Jones stopping at second. The batter's the center fielder, Capra. Nick Capra 0 for 2, although the right fielder Grant made a pretty good move on him to take one away from him the last time up.
Number 1, center fielder Nick Capra.
15-foot wall here. It's made out of plywood, so I would imagine with plywood you're liable to see guys stick those cleats in and go up that wall for one here and there. As you'll see sometimes in a ballpark that has this, I've seen guys dig those spikes into those board fences and go up higher than than anybody could possibly expect them to in order to take a hit away from a batter.
And I'm sure as Arnie is panned around here from time to time, you see one of the sources of revenue that you have to have in these minor league parks. You got to get out around the town and sell those signs.
Foul ball.
Oh, they've double-decked them here, haven't they, as far as signs around the fence?
Yes, sell the signs and you sell the ads in the program. And if Arnie pans much slower, we're going to send him a bill. 0-2. I can see our sales department right now cringing on this one. Hey, come on, man. 0-2. That one gets away from the catcher. Everybody moves up. Jones takes third. Werner takes second. Let's see what they call that one. That looks to me like a missed sign, a cross-up. They call it a wild pitch. Let's see. Yeah, that's what it was. The batter is Capra. Ball 1, strike 2. Runners on second and third. 1 away. And the score of the ball game is Wichita 5, the Iowa Oaks 3 at this point. They've out-hit Iowa 6-5. The Oaks have committed 3 errors, 2 of them costly. Wichita has committed 1. Infield pulled in. Hit and run. And I think maybe we had a little bit of a missed sign there.
I think the guy with the bat missed a sign. The third, either that or the fellow at third.
That's the boss. That's Donnelly. Hey, we're going to have a little talk about what a bunt sign is.
Yeah, when the guy at third.
When I stand with the hands on the hips, that means that the previous sign is off. When I give you the bunt sign after that, that means bunt. Right, Joey? Right, Joey.
And Cookie.
1-2. That's a ball. 2-2.
Big point in this ball game right now. You can't afford to let Wichita get any more here. Remember, it's only a 7-inning game.
We're in the 5th. Just missed. Ball 3, strike 2. Foul tip. He's out of there.
Boy, good play. That's a tough one for a catcher to handle. Butch Benton did a good job.
That was a big strikeout.
Number 2, second baseman Roger Holt.
That'll bring up the second baseman, Roger Holt. And now let's see what Roy Hartsfield has to allow. Among the people helping us here today are some of the folks from WHO. Dave Shelby up here in the booth assisting. Stick with it, Dave. This is the way President Reagan got started.
Right in this town.
And on that station.
Yes.
Roger Holt. I was with a group of broadcast pioneers who gave a membership to the president. And he said, I was working in Des Moines, and I worked there for a long time at WHO, and it wasn't until I saw Ted Husing come in and do a football game with some help that I found out that the announcer doesn't have to help the engineer carry the equipment. There's a fly ball, right field. It's near the foul line. It is deep. It is caught. Tommy Grant making the catch. And so they're out of the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left. And this takes us now to the Iowa half of number 5. Score of the ball game, Wichita 5, the Oaks 3. Been in the Cub organization for a while. One of these days, we look for this guy to be up to stay. They've been waiting for a long time for him to develop. He's a .257 hitter, has 5 homers and 30 runs batted in this year, but he's hit safely in 7 out of 10 ball games now. He's had his problems with injuries. He's been not a very lucky fella that way. He's a big, husky guy. He's 6'2", weighs 206 pounds, maybe even a little better than that.
In fact, when you talk about an injury and at a bad time, earlier this year when we called up an outfielder and needed a left-hand hitter and called Krug up, Brian had a hamstring at the time, or he would have had the shot and been called up to the big club.
So this ball game now is going to the Iowa half of number 5. Score of the ball game, Wichita 5 and the Iowa Oaks 3. Ball 1.
Well, I like to see Tabler swing the bat here. We really haven't had a chance to see him. He's had a walk and a sacrifice fly. And you've heard about his bat because he was the big name involved in the Rick Russell deal. So some pressure on him.
Fly ball, right field. And no problem with the right fielder out there, Bobby Jones. 1 away. That'll bring up Hicks, the first baseman.
Number 7, first baseman.
Brzezinski, by the way, was one of the stars at Evanston Township High in 1975 when he graduated, played baseball and football there. Helped lead Evanston to Suburban League titles in both sports in his senior year. And he's been with Bradenton and Pompano Beach and Midland, Texas, and Wichita, of course, when the Cubs were down there last year. And he had a good year down there last year. He hit .315, had 19 homers and 79 runs batted in. So, I don't know. I still think it's possible for a young fellow who can hit the ball that hard when he gets totally healthy to wind up to stay. Here's Hicks. Strike 1. That's a strike. 0-2. There's Hartsfield, signed by Earl Mann of the famous Atlanta Crackers. There was a name in minor league baseball, huh? Earl Mann, Southern Association. Boy, he had a few graduate from his class down there, like Paul Richards, huh? Whitlow Wyatt. There's a high foul ball taken by the first baseman for out number 2. Hicks is out, and that'll bring up the left fielder, Mike Turgeon.
Yeah,
as I said, Mike hit one the other day that cleared that center field wall, which is 400 feet away and 15 feet high.
You mentioning Earl Mann, you're absolutely right. A lot of players were developed under that franchise, and he sold them to the big leagues in those days. That's how you kept your franchise going.
Well, that's how it all worked in those days, in the early days, when you had local ownership of the minor league and a working agreement with the major. Very often, the sale of a player at the end of the year would mean the difference between red ink and black ink on the books of the local owner. But if he could get a first baseman developed and then sell him to the big leagues for, say, $25,000 or $30,000, that now could mean a profitable year for him.
Wonder if he
turn the whole year around.
Wonder if he made any money when he traded an announcer for a player. He did, you know.
Who did?
Ernie Harwell.
How did that happen? I didn't know that.
Sent him to the big leagues and got a player for him.
You're putting me on.
No, I'm not.
Ball 1, strike 2. I thought I heard them all, kid. What was this one now? He traded Ernie to the big leagues?
The big league ball club wanted him, and he was the announcer for the Atlanta Crackers, and Earl says to the club, you can have him, but I get a player for him.
Did he really get a player?
Mm-hmm. You're meddling with my announcer.
There's foul ball. I don't know whether the juxtaposition of these two stories is proper or not, but I once knew a story about Joe Engel at Chattanooga, who traded a pitcher once for a bird dog.
Oh, if you're in Chattanooga, that makes sense.
I can see trading announcers for bird dogs, but not pitchers.
Why are you looking at me?
High outside. 2-2. As a matter of fact, he once gave a pitcher to a ball club for nothing, and he said it's a trade which benefited both teams.
2-2.
Curveball strike, got him. Oh, what a beautiful break on that pitch, and Turgeon strikes out. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left, and at the end of 5, the score of the ball game is still Wichita 5, the Iowa Oaks 3. Of number 6, it's a 5-3 ball game here at Des Moines. I'm Jack Brickhouse, along with Milo Hamilton. Our director Arnie Harris and our famous WGN crew is over here capturing these baseball headlines as they're being made today. And speaking of sports headlines, there are going to be some great ones tomorrow, too. Up there at Evanston Country Club, Evanston Golf Club, the famous Irv Kupcinet Variety golf outing, ladies professional invitational, will be there. All the gals, or many of them, who played in that great Women's Open today at LaGrange and this week, will be up there tomorrow to play, of course, for Sweet Charity's sake. And right now, as a matter of fact, Arnie Morton is hosting the entire membership of all the people who have signed up to play, all the participants and all the people who support it financially, at a great big dinner party at his place there on State Street. And so everybody's having a good time, and we're sorry we can't be with them, but we're planning to be there with them tomorrow because it's a marvelous, marvelous cause. The Irv Kupcinet Variety Ladies Invitational.
So the first batter, Norman, starts it by popping up to Alfaro at third, and we got one away in the 6th inning.
Pat Bradley won it today, by the way, 9 under. You and I, of course, had to leave in order to come out here when she and the other little girl from Carolina were tied. What was her name? And they were a stroke ahead of Kathy Whitworth. Beth Daniel, yeah.
Yeah, Beth Daniel.
So Pat Bradley won it.
Well, they were really going head-to-head down that last 9, too,
She finished 9 under, 279. In other words, she had to pick up some pretty good birdies.
And it's a record.
On the last, in the last few holes.
It's a new U.S. Open record for the gals.
Is that right?
Wayne Tollison had a base hit in the first, stole a base and scored their first run. In the third, he was thrown out by the catcher. 4th inning, he flied to left. So he's 1 for 3, batting with nobody on and 1 away. Parker with an off-speed pitch. Bouncer kicks off, foul. Ooh, first baseman just took a slide in the mud. Joe Hicks, the spikes won't hold in that mud. It just won't do it. That's one of the reasons last night that they decided to call the game as early as they did, because there was so much rain and so much water. They were just afraid to try to play one and then ruin the field and not have anything left for here tonight, because it's tough in these minor league parks to get that tarp out. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fouled off. With Jack Brickhouse, this is Milo Hamilton with AAA Baseball on WGN. Television 9 in Chicago, America's #1 sports station. And we'll have the news at 9 on 9. Two balls and 2 strikes to Tollison. Wichita Aeros batting in the 6th. They're in front 5-3. 4-run third. Bobby Jones hitting a 3-run homer after a double play ball had been kicked, and that's the difference. 3-2. Norris will be next. Nobody on and 1 down.
Wonder what goes on in the minds of these kids when they read about a strike and wonder about that situation. Wonder what their future's going to be. Huh?
Well, they might be wondering if some of these organizations are going to pull some of them up and play in the parks in August and September.
Number 16, first baseman Jim Norris.
Here's Jim Norris, 1 for 3, had a base hit in the 3rd. He was on and scored one of the 3 runs when Jones hit the homer. Quick throw over, doesn't get him. Tollison's a threat to go, and you got to keep him close. Gets him over there again. "27 stolen bases in 30 attempts, counting the one tonight." Smashed foul by the first base coach and their pitching coach as well, Stan Jacobowski.
He had a little something on that time, Milo. The runner had broken.
All right, takes a long look down at his manager and third base coach, Rich Donnelly.
Towson stole a base first time up.
There he goes again. Pitch out. Now get it down there where he can handle it, and he did. A caught stealing as Benton snipped it out that time, and you'll get another look. Goes right out there for that pitch out. Lets her fly. Tabler puts it right down on him. Now here's the isolation on the runner. Look at Tabler breaking over to take the throw from Butch. A little high, but he puts it down, and with the pitch out, they had him in time. So it's 2 away.
That's a terribly important play for Tabler, because if he's going to play second base, of course, he has to learn to make that play pretty well. And I think you'll agree, he made it very well that time.
Brought a high throw down and made the tag.
It's pretty well understood that that is his position. That's where they want to groom him for. And, of course, a lot of people are watching very closely every move he makes.
Right at first base. Hicks is there. Wave off the pitcher. So, faced only 3 with the caught stealing. No runs and no hits. No errors, a walk. Caught stealing and nobody left. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th with the Oaks looking for some punch. They're trailing 5-3. He pitching in the first couple of innings, but then his teammates went out and got some runs for him in the 3rd inning, so he's still on in the game. Both pitchers are. And it's a 5-3 lead as the Iowa Oaks come to bat in the bottom of the 6th inning with Alfaro, Benton, and Grant.
Well, that, of course, is the bottom of the batting order. And in case you've joined us a little late, this is the Iowa Oaks, the Cub Farm Club, against the Wichita Aeros, the Texas Rangers Farm Club here at Des Moines, Iowa, at Sec Taylor Stadium. The score of the ball game is 5-3 Wichita. It's a 7-inning ball game because they're playing a doubleheader tonight. When they play doubleheaders, they generally play 2 7-inning ball games. Now here's Alfaro, and they're playing the designated hitter rule tonight, which means, of course, that the pitcher does not bat. Alfaro has a walk and a strikeout. That's a little low. Names that you may see in the big time. Terry Bogner in left, Nick Kepler in center, Bobby Jones in right. Wayne Tolson at third, Nelson Norman at short.
He's been there.
Roger Holt at second, Jim Norris at first. Len Whitehouse, the pitcher. Don Werner is the catcher. These are all Texas Rangers. You may see them in a Texas uniform one of these days. Ball 2, strike 1. Fly ball. Right center. That's pretty deep out there, but it's catchable. And Bobby Jones handles it. Alfaro giving it a pretty good ride. 1 away. That brings up the catcher, Butch Benton.
Number 9, catcher Butch Benton.
There's one batted down by the pitcher. Can he retrieve it? He tries, and he gets his man. Great work. Great work indeed by Whitehouse. Tremendous recovery, and also Benton took himself a tumble crossing first base. But watch this guy recover on this one. Now, Benton, of course, is not exactly a speed demon, and that is a big break for Whitehouse here.
Ooh, he hit that back
really
awkwardly, and he's lucky he didn't jam a shoulder or break a collarbone that time.
Yeah, well, we saw something like that, not too unlike that, put Kingman out of commission. 2 out. That'll bring up the right fielder, Tom Grant. Strike one.
Boy, for a guy who could have been had back in the second inning, Whitehouse has stuck around.
He was on the ropes. He was 1 pitch away from being out of there. After all, he walked 3 men in the first inning and gave up a couple of hits and a couple of runs. Here it is, short to first. It's a 1-2-3 inning as Grant is retired. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. And so at the end of 6, 1 inning to go now. It's Wichita 5, the Iowa Oaks 3. Wichita coming to bat, hoping to pad their lead here in the 7th inning, the final inning of this ball game. Score of the game, Wichita 5 to Chicago's Farm Club Iowa Oaks 3. Milo, get them down in order and get our boys back in this ball game, will you?
All right, Mark Parker, who deserves a better fate than the score he's looking at now, because back in the 3rd inning, with a runner at first base and a double play ball, that's the difference in this game. That double play is made. Jones never comes to bat in that inning, and that's the story of that inning. They went on to get 4 runs in that inning after the double play ball was missed.
Well, this is one of the great things about the game of baseball, one of the interesting mysteries about the game of baseball. What's going to happen as a result of what you do in the first inning? How's it going to pyramid? How's it going to chain react? What's the domino adventure before it's all over with that particular move you made in the 1st or 2nd or 3rd inning before it's all over?
Parker working to the leading hitter in the league. And the ball inside. Mike Richard, he's had a double and an RBI, reached on an error and scored run number 3. Last time up in the 4th inning, he bounced out to the 3rd baseman. So he's 1 for 3, scored a run and driven in a run. Fly ball out into shallow center, and it will drop in front of Scotty Thompson. That gives him 2 hits. So a fellow who came in hitting .355 hasn't hurt that a lick, has he? That is hit number 7 for the visiting Wichita Aeros.
Number 14, right fielder, Bobby Jones.
Razich is warming in the bullpen.
That's twice he's been up. Actually, 3 times, but the other 2 times were very early.
So Bobby Jones, 1 for 2 plus a walk, and a big one it was, a 3-run homer in the 3rd inning. Over the deep right center field fence, and that was the key blow in this game right now. High fly ball, going to hang up for the left fielder Turgeon to get over, and he's there. 1 down. Bobby Jones flies out to left. Mike Turgeon made the play.
I wonder if Len Whitehouse may have hurt himself a little on that ball that was smashed back to him.
Might have.
Or whether he just is tired by this time. And
he's thrown a lot of pitches.
Yes, he has. And Donnelly probably figures it's time to bring somebody in. By the way, the relief pitcher, Radjic, has put on his jacket now. He's coming to the dugout, so it looks like he will get in the ball game.
Terry Bogener, a double in 3 trips, 1 for 3. Shows the bunt, doesn't go after it, takes a strike.
Here's a fellow, stands 6 feet and weighs 200 pounds. He's built with muscular, he's built along muscular lines, and I don't understand a guy like this choking the bat that much.
Well, maybe he's one of those guys that's got warning track power and just decided to stay with a choke up on the bat and get base hits. Fouled off. Werner will be next. No balls and 2 strikes. Baseball from Sec Taylor Stadium in Des Moines. And it's great to be back working a baseball game. Anybody that says you and I don't miss it doesn't know what they're talking about, do they?
That's exactly right.
Hey, smoked him. Strikeout number 2.
Number 21, catcher Don Werner.
Here's Don Werner. He was the victim of a great play in the 1st inning by Pat Tabler. 3rd inning, he reached on a throwing error by the 3rd baseman Alfaro, and in the 5th inning, had a base hit, so he's 1 for 3. Wichita has out-hit Iowa 7-5. Wichita leads in the score 5-3. Iowa leads in 1 column. They just as soon reverse. They've made 3 boots, and 1 of them really hurt. High fly ball. It's playable in right center. Scotty Thompson will take charge, And the side has been retired. So after the leadoff single, Parker set him down. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a man left. Now or never in the first game of this doubleheader for the homestanding Iowa Oaks. They're trailing as we go to the bottom of the 7th, 5-3. All right, the new pitcher is Dave Razich. Making his 31st appearance, all but 1 in relief. 48 2/3 innings, 47 hits, 31 runs, 27 of them earned. He's thrown 5 gopher balls. For a relief pitcher, he's got a lopsided ratio in the wrong direction. 20 walks and only 24 strikeouts. He's hit 2 batters, uncorked 8 wild pitches, and got a high ERA of 4.99. He's been in the big leagues 2 or 3 times.
Let's give some credit to Len Whitehouse. The guy played the perils of Pauline. He was on the brink of disaster in the very first inning. He's walked 3 and struck out 3 in this ball game, and all 3 walks were in the first inning. Nothing since. Not a thing.
All right, here's Dan Roan. Left-hander fires a fastball through for his first offering. Roan walked in the first and scored. Singled in the second and scored. In the 4th inning, Dan, the DH tonight for Roy Hartsfield, popped up to the shortstop. He's in a hole, 0-2. The Iowa Oak fans here trying to rally him along here as they holler from the stands at Sec Taylor Stadium. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One ball and 2 strikes. Fouled off, out of play, down to the left side. Left fielder going to give it one of those tries again. Oh, he doesn't give up, does he? Terry Bogener. Remember, he was the fellow who slid into that bench a while ago, and now he went across the line.
That's about as much room as you'll ever see a left fielder have when it comes to going after a ball in foul territory. If that were Wrigley Field, he'd be 18 rows into the stands.
And if you would have liked to seen a guy talking to himself, I got to believe that if he catches that ball, it's not a catch. I think that second white line is a ground rule out of play.
I think you're right, Milo. As a matter of fact, I'm almost sure of it. And the umpire, before the ball game, was talking about it a little bit. He said that, by the way, is a tough line to figure. See, they got one down the right field side, too, there.
Well, it's similar to the lines they have at Atlanta Stadium right now, in fact, down by their bullpens.
Yeah, exactly. And but the ground rule that the plate umpire, Tom Flora, was telling me about, said that's the tough one, that white line right there. Otherwise, the ground rules around the place are no different than any place else and no problem, really.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Leadoff batter Roan. Smash, second baseman will come up with it. Holt will throw him out, and it's 1 away in the 7th. Hit the ball hard, but the second baseman with a good quick move. Here it is again. Well, he got a pitch to hit here, too. The second baseman, Holt, moved quickly, throws him out, and it's 1 away. So we're getting down to cases here in this ball game. Iowa trailing 5-3 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Fletcher is 1 for 2. He had a base hit in the 4th inning. Wichita's out hit the Oaks 7-5, leading the score 5-3. 1 ball and no strikes. Hicks for Iowa's had 1 hit and driven in a run. Turgeon's had a hit and driven in a run. Grant has had a hit. Roan 1, Fletcher 1. That's the total of 5. Moving fastball with some tail on it, and 1 ball and 1 strike. The league's leading hitter continued his drive tonight. Mike Richard, he's had 2 hits for Wichita. He's the only player in the game with 2. 1-1. Like a lot of left-handers, when this guy throws hard, he can't throw the ball straight. Sinks and tails away.
He can throw hard if you can learn control, and it can be taught.
2 balls and a strike. Nobody on, 1 down. Oh, that's off his bare hand out behind second. The throw, and got him. Holy Toledo, what a play. Wow. Man, oh man, Holt just made a sensational play. Didn't look like he had a chance, but the quick release enabled him to make the play. Look at a jump and throw, and got him. Now they're looking at the pitcher. We'll look at it again. See it hit that pitching hand. What a play by Roger Holt.
And don't forget, Scott Fletcher is not a slowpoke.
Man, oh man, what a play. Ball was just, so if you're keeping a card, you'd give it that a 1-4-3 because it went off the pitcher's hand. He's all right. The trainer looked at him, and now he's looking at Scotty Thompson, who's gone hitless here tonight in 3 trips. So, this big left-hander out there and out away from earning a save for Len Whitehouse. Whitehouse. Oh, that just missed. Werner kind of looked back over his shoulder. 2 balls and no strikes. Nobody on, 2 away. Sensational play by Roger Holt. Pat Tabler made an excellent play on a deflected ball in the first inning for the Oaks. Here's the 2-0. Sat him down. 3 balls and no strikes.
Well, when we left the Cubs,
Pat Tabler.
When we left the Cubs, they had won 5 out of 6. Now the Iowa Oaks have won 4 in a row, and the worst we're going to get out of them is 4 out of 5, and they might get a little lucky here at that and make it even 5 in a row.
Well, in order for something to happen here, we need Scotty to get on and get Tabler to the plate.
Right.
Nobody on and 2 down. A little pop out behind second. Shortstop Norman is there. A 1-2-3 inning for Rezic. And the ball game is over. A 1-2-3 inning. In fact, 3, 6, 9. The last 10 Iowa Oaks went down in order.
And we'll have the 10th inning with Les Moss.
All right, the final score is the teams head for the clubhouses. They've got another game to go here. Wichita beat Iowa 5-3. And we'll have the totals right after this. And all the scoring took place in the first 3 innings. Wichita won at 5-3. The one in front in the first inning, 1-0. Iowa answered with a deuce and one in front, 2-1. Picked up a run in the second to lead 3-1. Then in the 4th inning, a little defensive lapse hurt on a missed double play ball. That gave Jones a chance to come to bat with 2 on. He hit his 13th homer of the year, a 3-run blast, and that put him in front to stay. They picked up another run later on a throwing error, and they won it 5-3. For Wichita, 5-7-1. The winner is Whitehouse. He's 5-3. A save goes to Rezic. The winning RBI goes to Jones. The losing Iowa Oaks, 3-5-3. Parker is now 7-7 after absorbing the loss. He deserved a better fate here tonight. He really didn't pitch that bad a ball game. The Aeros left 8 on, and the Oaks left 6. So we hope you enjoyed the ball game wherever you were and whatever you were doing on a Sunday night. Great to be back on the baseball scene and doing a ball game here with our AAA club, the Iowa Oaks. And this ball game is over. They've got another one to play here, and we hope that we're going to greet you soon. It's a very pivotal day with the players meeting tomorrow, and hopefully something will happen with this baseball strike, and we'll soon be back with Major League Baseball on Channel 9. Stay tuned for the news on Channel 9. Our participating advertisers in tonight's game were Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And Toyota Motor Sales USA. And